Ever get that feeling like something's watching you from the dark? Like there's something just beyond the mirror?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Sends shivers down your spine.
That's what we're diving into today, the chilling story behind the Candyman legend and the real woman who inspired it, Ruthie Mae McCoy.
Urban legends, they always seem to have some kind of basis in reality, like they're tapping into some primal fear we all have.
Right, and this deep dive, well, takes us straight to the heart of one of those fears. The fear of being ignored, of not being believed when you need help the
And that's
most.
exactly what happened to Ruthie Mae McCoy. Her story is a tragedy, but it also forces us to confront some hard truths about race, mental health, and how society treats the most vulnerable among us.
So let's go back to April 22nd, 1987, Chicago. Ruthie Mae is living in the Cabrini Green housing projects, a place notorious for its
Oh,
problems.
absolutely. A place where violence and neglect were just, well, part of everyday life.
Right. And on this particular night, Ruthie Mae calls 911, absolutely terrified. Someone's trying to break into her apartment.
And here's the detail that always gets me. She tells the dispatcher they're trying to come in through her medicine cabinet. I mean, just think about how unsettling that is.
It's chilling. And sadly, the dispatcher, well, they didn't take her seriously.
Maybe they thought she was exaggerating. Maybe they were prejudiced against her because she was black or because she had a history of mental illness. We don't know for sure.
But what I do know is that her pleas for help were ignored. And 2 days later, after neighbors report disturbances, police find Ruthie Mae dead in her apartment.
Shot 4 times. And guess what?
They came in through the medicine cabinet.
It wasn't just some horror movie invention. It was Ruthie Mae's reality. And this is where the story takes an even darker turn.
This wasn't an isolated incident. This was a systemic failure. Think about it. You're living in a place like Cabrini Green,
Yeah.
already marginalized, already forgotten by much of society.
And then when you reach out for help, you're dismissed, disbelieved. It's a horrifying cycle.
It's a complete betrayal of trust. And sadly, it's a story that's been repeated countless times, especially in communities of color.
Right. And that's why Ruthie Mae's story resonated so strongly with filmmaker Bernard Rose. He saw the potential for a film that could tap into those deep-seated fears of being ignored, of being powerless.
And so Candyman was born. This terrifying figure, a vengeful spirit who emerges from mirrors, a figure who embodies the anger, the pain, the frustration of those who have been silenced.
And remember that detail about the medicine cabinet? Rose incorporated that directly into the film. It became Candyman's entry point, a way for him to invade our most private spaces, the places where we feel safe.
That's what makes it so effective. It's playing on our deepest anxieties, the fear of the unknown, the fear of what lurks in the shadows.
Exactly. And by grounding it in the reality of Ruthie Mae's story, Rose gives the film a weight, a depth that goes beyond just cheap
He turns it into a
scares.
social commentary, a reflection of the very real horrors that exist in our world. The horrors of racism, of poverty, of mental illness.
Right. He's forcing us to look in the mirror, not just at the monster on the screen, but at the monsters we've created in our own society.
And that's why Candyman, even though it's a fictional story, continues to resonate with us today. It's a reminder that these urban legends, these scary stories we tell ourselves, often have roots in very real tragedies.
Tragedies like Ruthie Mae's. Her story, though, it's not just a cautionary tale, it's a call
A
to
call to be
action.
more aware, more compassionate, more willing to listen to those whose voices are often silenced.
And to challenge the systems that perpetuate injustice and inequality. To demand better for everyone, regardless of their race, their socioeconomic status, or their mental
Because in
health.
the end, the real monsters aren't the ones we see in the movies.
They're the ones we allow to exist in our own world.
Yeah.
And it's up to all of us to
So the
fight
next
back.
time you look in the mirror, don't just look at your reflection.
Look at the world around you. See the Ruthie Mae McCoys of the world, the people who are struggling, who are being ignored, who are crying out for help. And ask yourself, what can I do to make a difference?
What can I do to ensure that their stories are heard, their lives are valued, and their tragedies are never forgotten? Because that's the true legacy of Ruthie Mae McCoy, a reminder that even in the darkest of places, hope can still exist.
And that change, real, lasting change, is possible if we're willing to fight for it.
It's a powerful message, and it's one we can all carry with us long after this deep dive is over.
Absolutely. We can't let those fears, those anxieties paralyze us. We have to use them as fuel for action, for change, for a better
For everyone.
world.